Hi guys, welcome to the Wild Protea once again with myself, Clinton John. Thanks once again for joining me on this beautiful day in Cape Town. Didn't start off that great, but it rained around this morning. Would have been delayed due to a wet outfield, I suppose, but no more delayed than the One Day Cuppies at the moment, but such is life. Just before I get into the cricket stuff, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share it guys, subscribe on YouTube. Like the page on Facebook as well. Trying to create something here, trying to get something going. So it's the more shares, the more likes that we get, the more comments, all adds to it. Thanks for all the support so far, and we continue to go and grow. So first test, obviously against Pakistan. I think the boys left today or yesterday. Good luck to the Proteas. Also, the Protea women will be playing against Pakistan, I think, here as well. So lots of cricket to look forward to in South Africa. Having a look at the squad. I think what we're gonna get is pretty much the same lineup. So you look at the batting lineup, you probably go Alga, Markram, Rassie, Faf, Quinton, Bavuma, and then it gets a little bit interesting. So now at 7 you could have Mulder. Mulder started well, but it depends on the types of pitches we're going to play on, whether he will be effective or not. I think he could be effective in holding the game up from one end, so we could look to use him in that capacity. Then obviously you've got the other all-rounder, spin all-rounder in the side, in George Linde, who can come into the side there at 7, I think. Or Keshev could bat there. If you're going to play two spinners, obviously you then play, if you played the two spinners, then Keshev should bat next. And then Rabada, and then Nokia bringing up the rear. That is probably the lineup I would go with Linde and Kesh. Although outside chance for Tabrari Shamsi, he's done pretty well this season in the 4-day stuff. Generally takes wickets in clusters, gets like 5 or 6. So small shot there for him, I think. But I think, if we're going to go with two spinners, I think Linde and Kesh will be the right option. Now you might say that they're both left arm spinners, but for me they're the two better spinners in my opinion. Shamsi can be attacking, so maybe if they want to go the attacking route, they'll have Shamsi from one end and maybe Linde from the other end, or Kesh from the other end. Then one can hold the game, one can attack. So I think that's pretty much. Obviously there's Ngidi. Nokia, fast bowling stocks are pretty good, but I think the spin is what's going to win us the games ultimately. If you look at the bowling, we've actually taken 12 proper bowlers, like frontline bowlers. This is the first thing that they do in the team. You've got Rabada, Nokia, Keshev, Maharaj, Linde, Mulder, Shamsi, Ngidi, Pretorius. Okay, he's more of an all-rounder, so is Mulder. Sapamla, Hendricks, Dupavlon, and Otniel Bartman as well. Out of those guys, I really don't see Otniel or Pretorius getting a game. Hendricks maybe with a left arm variation. Ngidi will probably be the guy left out if you're going to go the spin route. Sapamla as well, obviously he will be left out for Rabada. To me that's a no-brainer. Rabada comes back into the side when fit and available. And then it just depends how you're gonna structure the side. So if you go with the two spinners, then you've got Linde and Kesh at 7 and 8, and then Rabada and Nokia and probably Ngidi. That's the way I would go, with an outside chance of maybe Sapamla, Hendricks. I don't see Dupavlon and Otniel getting a run out, only if there's injuries, but a pretty big squad taken. And then just a small side note that I've made here, Markram and Alga. I think spin will obviously be key, subcontinent conditions. How much it's spinning will dictate whether those two guys, part-timers, are going to get a shot with the ball as well. But I think that is the way we're going to go. I think batting-wise, we're going to have to win the games with a bat. Big first innings scores. Pakistan will be smarting They just got smashed in New Zealand. They did pretty well in England, it must be said, when they played against England. They drew 2 matches in England, so that's pretty good. So, but with Pakistan, we've always seen that it depends what Pakistan team turns up on the day. They just announced their squad, a couple of big inclusions, a couple of big exclusions as well. So I think they're searching for a lineup as well after the drumming they received by New Zealand. Also a couple of injuries there. But focusing on us with the bat, I think Markham. I think he needs to opening the batting in the subcontinent is the best time to score runs. You see out that new ball, you get in, and then you don't get out. And for him, I think he needs to cement his position there. So look for Markham to bat long innings. I don't think you're going to see the flash Markham. I think you're going to see the grind Markham, which is sort of counterintuitive as to why he's in the side. He's there to counter Alga's grittiness, but Alga's taken up the mantle that, okay, listen lad, you are, and this is where Alga's experience comes in. You are trying to find your way in international cricket again, so I'm going to take the attack to the bowlers because I'm established. I'm scoring runs, I'm confident, I'm in form. So he's the one that's actually scoring at a quicker rate than Markham lately. So I think that they complement each other well, and there's no substitute, like I say, for experience. And Alga, for me, in that respect, did very, very well against Sri Lanka. And then still question marks over Rassie at 5, at 3, and Quinton de Kock at 5. So for me, Rassie needs to obviously score runs first and foremost, but I think he needs to rotate the strike a bit more. Oftentimes it looks like he's just blocking the ball to block the ball, and I get that it's Test cricket, I really do. But you can soft hands drop the ball for one. You can, especially like when we're playing against a depleted attack like Sri Lanka's, you've got to work the ball around and make them bowl differently and impose your will on the opposition. I think Rassie lets the game come to him a bit too much in the Test match cricket. I think in one-day cricket, he's always looking for that one. So he does still take his time in one-day cricket, but he looks for the one a bit more. I think he needs to rotate the strike a bit more. It's alright scoring slowly. I don't mind if you're scoring slowly, but at least look to rotate the strike so you can get to the other end. And then, the other guy is not under so much pressure. I think Rassie needs to get that into his game and work the strike a bit more. Rotate the strike a bit more, sorry. I think 3, obviously, again, is a great place to be batting. In the subcontinent where maybe the ball doesn't turn as much on day 1 and 2. If you get in, there's runs to be had. So he's in the perfect position. He needs some more runs on his belt. He did get a 50 the other day, but I think Rassie just needs to buckle down. That first 100 needs to come in this series, I think, especially with Australia coming up. That will be huge for us, having a number 3 that's in form. Then Quinton de Kock, short on runs lately, obviously, but I'm not worried about Quinny. Look, I think Quinny's just adjusting to being captain of all 3 formats, moving up the order. I think maybe the moving up the order was a bit maybe poor timing. I think that decision was made before he was captain, so I don't think he wanted to backtrack on that. I think he wanted to be confident and say, listen, I'm the guy to take us forward. But I just, with the captaincy, I don't think Quinny wants to do the captaincy as well. So I think they're looking at him at 5 because they want to bring in a guy like Calvin Rain, or they want to bring in a guy like Keegan Peterson to maybe bat that at 6 or 7 and keep KP. Obviously hasn't really taken the gloves, but he can do it. No indication that Quinny will leave the gloves, but I think if Calvin Rain makes his way into the side, I think Carl will have to be the glove man, because I don't think Quinny can continue to captain, keep bat 5 in all 3 formats. I just don't think it's the right recipe. I think it's too much responsibility on Quinny, but I think Quinny needs to decide which gear he's in. We know him as this free-flowing, come what may kind of batsman. He plays the way he plays, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. He needs to just continue in that vein. I don't think he needs to change his game whatsoever. people will argue with me that you have to change your game at 5. I don't think so. I think he needs to just continue and play and be confident and do what he does best. Look, I think this series will be the last series that we would probably have Quinton de Kock at 5 if he fails again twice. I would then say, listen, we've tried it now. It's been 4 games. You haven't scored runs. Maybe you bat 6, 7. Maybe get Temba up the order or get KP or Varane up in that 5 position. I think those 2 guys will be fantastic in that position. KP, consistent run scorer. I think he needs a look in. It's tough at the moment, but I think Rassie might be under a bit of pressure. Faf was under pressure until that double 100. So Temba Bavuma's spot is always in question, but I think they'll go with that lineup, and I don't think the other guys will get a look in this series, maybe, unless injuries wreak havoc. But good to know we've got good talent waiting in the wings. Yeah, okay, sweet. Moving on. Temba Bavuma and Vian Mulder. So yeah, obviously Temba needs to contribute low down the order. He's obviously batting at 6 or 7 these days. For me, he needs to score runs. And him and Mulder, I think, need to get that partnership going. I think that could be a key partnership moving forward. Him and Mulder batting and taking the game away from the opposition lower down. I think that could be a real key in this series. And then Mulder, obviously, I think Mulder needs to score runs. First and foremost, he's a batting all-rounder, so I would want to see him score more runs than take wickets. But he's doing a fantastic job with the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes on the flatter wickets. Obviously, in Pakistan subcontinent, wickets are a bit flatter. It's going to be interesting to see if he can hold the game. Obviously, the subcontinent players are very good at moving the game forward in sort of those middle after the new ball, sort of those middle overs, what you would consider the middle overs. Those overs, the subcontinent teams are generally very good at moving the game forward and taking the game away from the touring sides. So it's going to be interesting to see if you can hold up and end there. Right, batting stuff done. Talked about the team. Now just looking at the bowlers. Bowling in the subcontinent, obviously you've got to adjust your line and your length. Your lines have to be slightly straighter. Your length has to be slightly fuller. You've got to make the batsman play initially. And then it becomes interesting. Especially with us, because I feel like Keshev, with the right conditions around him, Keshev can thrive and he can really attack. And then we've got a guy like Shamsi in the side who is always attacking, always looking to take wickets, but can go for runs. So for me, it's going to be key up front to get wickets, and this is where Kagiso Rabada comes in. Now, hopefully, Kagiso is fit, ready, fully ready to go, and he's firing on all cylinders. If he gets wickets up front, it just has a knock-on effect and just sets up the whole game for South Africa. And then that's when you see Kesh will come into it, Linde will come into it, Shamsi if he plays. So I think for me, the key is Rabada up front. Got to get wickets up front. Rabada and Nokia got to get wickets up front. Then the spinners, they need to take wickets. It's going to be primed for them to take wickets. Keshev, usually when the conditions are in his favour, he does really, really well. Again, Shamsi, Linde, we don't know what they're going to go with. For me, I would go with Linde just because he gives a better batting option. But having said that, Shamsi, the way he attacks with the ball could be key as well. So for me, I'd go with Linde though. And then when the spinners bowl, they need to bowl to the right fields. We can't be setting defensive fields. We need to set attacking fields, and we need to grab them by the throat and say, listen, we're here to play, not you guys. Impose our will on them, and I think that we can come away with a test victory in the first test and the second test. Player for player, when I look at the two sides, the only really guys that stand out, obviously Mohammad Rizwan, the captain, he's done really well recently, averaging I think 40 since he came into the team. And then you got a guy like Baba Azam, fantastic player. I forget now the rest of the guys, but you know they have a quality lineup, but you don't know which Pakistan's going to turn up. Is it the Pakistan that drew in England, or the Pakistan that got thrashed in New Zealand. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. First test in Karachi on the 26th of January. Yeah, and that is pretty much all I've got for you guys today. Obviously the One Day Cup, the Momentum One Day Cup, most of the games have been rained out. Let's hope that the second group, the Group B or whatever it is, let's hope that those guys can get some games under the belt. The Titans have been knocked out, effectively playing one game. The rain in Poch has wreaked havoc, which is unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is, and we just got to, you know, get on with it. And hopefully we can see some more cricket coming soon. And then I just wanted to have a little look at Jacques Kallis's comments. Now, Jacques Kallis obviously needs no introduction. South African legend, probably the greatest cricketer, in my opinion, that's ever walked this earth. Bat, ball, in the field, he gives you everything. However, his coaching and his comments about the coaching positions and stuff like that, I think it reeks of a bit of sour grapes for me. I know obviously at the time the CSA board made that decision to only hire blacks and browns if they meet the criteria. Otherwise they could hire other people. Now he seems to think that was the reason why he didn't get hired, but the interim board retracted that policy or put a halt to that policy for the moment. And then Neil Mackenzie was hired. So if Jacques Kallis wasn't hired because he was white, why was Neil Mackenzie hired then? Because he looks awfully white to me, Neil Mackenzie. So does Dylan Dupree, who was hired for the women's Protea side. So, you know, I think it just reeks of a bit of sour grapes. There was, you know, obviously there was some speculation around what Jacques Kallis was being paid, and I just think that the CSA board looked at it and said, mate, we can't afford you. So unless you're going to come down in your price, then, you know, we're going to have to move on. And I think it's the best decision for everyone that he's moved on, because that kind of thing hanging over the team where this guy's getting paid a bit more because he's a consultant, blah blah blah, whatever, just doesn't sit right with me. And you know, the guy's a legend. His name will forever be cemented in South African history in a cricketing sense. I just think that those comments were, I just think they were not very well thought out, because the policy was retracted and then he could have got his job back. So yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, it reeks of sour grapes. He says the England setup is fantastic, and you know what, cool, I wish you all the best, but have a lekker career there in England or with the English side. You know, like, I thank you for your service to South African cricket, but yeah, sometimes it's better to say nothing than say the wrong thing, in my opinion. And I think he said the wrong thing. You know, that kind of comment just gets people, especially racist people who still exist in South Africa, it gets their back up and gives them ammunition, you know. So, and then they say things like, oh look, a legend of the country can't even get a job because he's not black, blah blah, which is not the case. That yes, the policy was made, no one agreed with it, absolutely no one. Go search on Twitter, go search Facebook, anywhere, no one agreed with that. Players, everyone was saying, listen, that's not how we want to do business. We want to earn, we want to get places on merit. And you know, it's transformation is what it is, guys. This is the thing. It is what it is. It's going to be there, and it's a good thing, because we need to give guys opportunities that deserve opportunities. Now, the way it's spoken about in cricket circles is totally different to the way it's spoken about in rugby circles. The way that Rassie did it in the Springbok setup, he made every guy feel valued, and I think that's what we need to get right in the cricket setup. But that's all on that subject for now, guys. That's a whole big thing that we can get into. Again, guys, get your comments in. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think of my test lineup? What would your test lineup be? Which spinners would you go with? Would you go with Shamsi? Or would you go with Kesh, Linda? And does Mulder get into the team? Obviously, he's done pretty well, but does he get into the team again? Get those comments in, guys. As I said, like the video, subscribe on YouTube, like the page, and get commenting, guys. Let's get the conversation going. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys again next week. Cheers for now.